Changes, any suggestions? Any concerns? Yes? No? Okay. Then, let's start with theory of change. I need to hear from all of you your understanding of three terms. Have you heard these terms before? Yes. Yes? People who have heard these terms before, what is your understanding? Because remember, we are going to critique this very soon, so at least let's get the understanding on the table.
Well, Gerald talks about the log frame quite a bit as a way to structure and think about projects.
It has something to do with structure, correct?
Yeah.
And structure, can you explain that, Eric? Structure in terms of?
Like, the way we used it was setting out, basically, you're trying to get to your goals and think of the logical necessary steps in order to get there. So, what's my overall idea? Okay, and then I break it down into, tasks. I don't remember the terms,
okay.
But topics, tasks, objectives, whatever. So breaking it down so it was in manageable chunks.
Yes.
Yeah, it brought even because I think budget was also something that was involved in that overall thought. So sort of concrete, small tasks that let you get to your overall goals. So it's much more sort of concrete.
Yeah, it's a way of evaluating the effectiveness of projects.
Mm-hmm. So it's effectiveness of some activity that you are doing, right? That's the key. Because we can have the best ideas and best plan. How do you know change is occurring? How do you know you are having an impact? So what? It's the so what questions. I have the best plan, I have the best staff, I have the best idea. That doesn't make me the best person if I don't know, as a result of all this, what change I'm seeking collectively, and actually whether that change is happening or not. And how do I define change, right? I'm going to come to theory of change in a minute. Okay. So, as all of you said, log frame was developed with a clear understanding of linear progression in your work, in what you do, in terms of your activity. Right? This is all about activities. So you have a beginning point and an end point. The understanding was, and is, as of today, that you have certain inputs that you start with, given your project, activity, on a specific topic. Somebody said that, right? Because hopefully we'll have clear focus of what are we trying to do in what area. Could be health, education, enrollment, increased enrollment in schools. We'll come to an exercise in a minute. I just want to talk about some reflections on whether this works or not. So you have inputs. Then there is, you are intervening, right? In some environment. Country level environment, organizational level environment, community level environment, all of it. But you are clear that you are trying to bring about change in a certain environment. We'll talk about it in a minute. The assumption was, when you do this, there will be certain outputs. Because you are bringing inputs, resources, skills, people to intervene, to change something here, and hopefully there will be some evidence of that change happening. So the earliest measurement you can have is to see what are some of the outputs. As a result of that, and we're going to discuss this clearly, because I want to make sure you understand all these differences. You will have some outcomes. Okay? And the progression continues, and hopefully it will lead to impact, which is your change focus. You want to make an impact somewhere, somehow. Okay? Any projects you see moving forward in your life, any organization you will design, you will work with, will have to have some understanding of this. Okay? Let's clarify difference between inputs, outputs and outcomes. This is where people get terribly confused, and if you have not understood these differences, your project design will be extremely confusing to you, to your staff, to your project partners, stakeholders, and ultimately to the donors, because you weren't clear about this. You could not come up with clear indicators. If you don't know differences across inputs, outputs, and outcomes, your indicators for each one will be confusing.
What comes out of the activity?
Yeah.
Good question.
What?
No,
Isn't that outcome?
it was a declarative statement.
It's his project. You can define it any way you want. If you're the community, you can ask for it. You can. Okay, so within the environment, the most important thing is you are intervening through certain activities, right?
Yeah.
So your activity is
Yeah.
building a school.
Building a
So
school.
they are saying that's an activity, that's not an output.
No, like the school itself, the activities that I built.
So school,
The
okay.
activities that I went through to build.
of the activity.
Yeah. So that's
The output is the building.
Yeah, the school came out. Yeah.
So they have a new infrastructure, right? That could be an output,
Yeah.
correct? So you have infrastructure, improved infrastructure or infrastructure, which wasn't there before. So that's an output. So hopefully children learning now better in the building instead of sitting outside or not having a building.
Well,
And
I
having
thought preview will come later.
having
It is the immediate change
Which is?
as a result of the output. So the school is there, you have more students going to school. That's the immediate outcome.
So the outcome would be increased number of students,
Attendance,
hopefully,
yeah.
correct?
or just children going to school. There was no school.
Access to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Even there was no school.
So that's access, better access created. Beginning to see the difference between outcome and output? Yes? What would all of this together lead to here in terms of impact?
That's
Literacy.
literacy.
Improved literacy in the community? Do you see how you're moving from a simple activity through certain resources to concrete physical results, tangible results, to more soft results that are related to processes, environment, learning environment, to then impact on a collective, which could be a community, a village. See, it's very important. And remember, we are now in our minds building the theory of change. And I'll come to that in a minute, how there is a theory of change emerging here. Okay, so
Improve life. And then so, some of these might even be outcomes in the way I was thinking about it.
it can be, yes. How do you define
Literacy
your...
is like the outcome, but the actual impact at the end is people's lives are better. You don't want to just make people literate, you want to make their lives better because they're literate. Or you want them to be able to improve their lives because of their literacy, right?
Improved life, right?
Yeah.
Or
Or quality of life.
But don't you have like specific goals for each of these
Yeah, it has
log
to be
frames?
specific.
So
They're
like
coming
literacy
together.
might be the goal, although like that's not the only goal working in
Keep
like
saying,
under.
because in 10 minutes you're going to do an exercise to actually create a results framework. So it's coming your way.
Last time.
I'm very happy that you are not happy with my diagram, because the point was to outline it. Now let me make 3 or 4 points, and then I want to divide you into groups to do the exercise. And I think let's take this example of having an activity that all of us have to plan to submit the project and the results framework to someone to get resources to build a school. Okay? In your small groups you decide, do you want to build an urban school, rural school? That will be all your decision in smaller groups, and then you'll present to us. Okay, let me see a few things. See how quickly we all came up with some ideas, right? What theory of change is about, which is above results framework and log frame, which we often forget in our hurry to actually pay attention to. That while doing this, we all made certain assumptions. Right? So theory of change challenges you to talk about 2 things or reflect on 2 things. Very, very important. If you want to be a successful manager, successful leader, successful learner, these 2 circles are the most important circles in your work that we often ignore. Impact we'll discuss later. But essentially, what theory of change does, forces you to think about your goals in terms of your assumptions and preconditions to ultimately help you achieve your impact. And the reason why I focus a lot on TOC is to not focus on short-term objectives, activities, indicators, outcome and outputs. Focus ultimately on what impact you want and work backwards. Okay, so theory of change works backwards. You start with your goal, you state your impact that you want, and this is what Sustainable Development Program students should be very clear about, that you are trying to achieve this. Don't just stop at this. If you don't have a vision of this, all this will be very vague and not clear.